Hello and welcome back to another Summit Conversations video. Today I want to give you a little behind the scenes of a solo retreat I went on this past weekend. Like why I do it, what I did, what I accomplished, how I feel now that it's done, all of that good stuff. So let's start at the beginning. When I sit down at my desk each day, I go. I do not mess around. I sit and I start and I don't stop until I have to. Like I'm a very driven and task-oriented person. And I very rarely set aside time for things like visioning, journaling, slowing down to do any meaningful thinking. I just don't like to do it. I find it boring and unproductive. I know that's not true. So those of you who that's your jam, I know that is not serving me the best, which is why we're having this video. It's not the best thing when you run a business to not take that time to think and slow down and have the vision and things like that. I think the doing part is very helpful, but other times, hypothetically, you close cart on a summit you just ran and realize you don't know what your team is supposed to work on next. And it's not the best. Like I know this about myself. I know that's how I work. And I'm starting to get better at putting supports in place to make sure I do get the time that my business needs and that I need to slow down and do that deep thinking and vision work and get the reset that like all businesses, all business owners need to some extent. So I do that by going on like 1 to 2, not always retreats. I go to 1 to 2 small events per year hosted by my coaches or a mastermind I'm in or something like that. And this last weekend, I needed another bit of that. So I took a little solo getaway. It was like 2 nights in a beautiful and inspiring Airbnb, just like me and my laptop, no kiddos, except I did meet them for lunch a day because I missed them. But like it was the weekend, so there were no clients, no team, no meetings, no distractions, anything like that. And that is what I need to give myself the space to do this thinking. And now I'm back from that feeling so refreshed and just ready for the next 3 or 4 months of running this business. And in case it's helpful, I wanted to share a little bit of the behind the scenes look at how I planned this little getaway and what I did and accomplished while I was there. Something else you can do for even more of a behind the scenes or a different kind is head over to my Instagram account at Summit in a Box and watch my like solo retreat highlights. I knew I would get a little stir crazy being totally alone there. So I gave a little play by play of the first 2 days and saved them to a highlight for you to check out there. But my main goal with this was to give myself the space I needed to reflect on what's been going on for the past 8 months, look at what's working and what's not, and make an action plan around those things. Like basically, I wanted to see how do I leverage what's working and then fill the gaps. And like I feel like that's something we should do on like a monthly basis at the least. I just really don't like slowing down to do it. So I need to make it a big thing. And from there, I wanted to figure out, based on these things, based on what works, based on what we need to fix, what are our projects for the rest of the year? And really, I knew those things wouldn't take a long time. I just needed a couple hours where I wasn't feeling pulled to like check off tasks, to not have kids and my husband popping into my office, where I don't feel pressured to check in on clients or see if my team needs anything. I could do those little things for dopamine hits. Like I just needed space. And it was so fun. The answers came to me very quickly. So in case it's helpful, here are the questions I walked through in the visioning part of this. And this I saved for the first morning I was there. I do my best thinking in the morning. That's when I will give myself time to sit. So day 1, I did some other stuff. Morning of day 2, this is when I went through these questions. So I thought through or wrote through, what does success mean for me in this season? That was a mix of business and life and balance and like the kind of person I want to be and things like that. So what does success mean for me in this season? Then I journaled on what is my best version of success in August 2026. So a year from now, what does my best version of success look like? And then I wanted to think through, okay, what do I need to do to get there? So what am I doing right now that is not getting me to that goal? And then what do I need to do more of? And then last, I wanted to think through, since I work part-time hours, I spend 2 mornings per week and 1 full weekday with my kids. And a lot of time it's kind of me like fighting with myself all day, wanting to focus on them, but also like trying to solve a work problem in the back of my head. So I did some journaling on what do I want my time at home when I'm not working to look like. And those things were all I needed to like reconnect with my goals and reset the place work had taken in my life. For me, when I don't take this time to slow down, work takes a seat with a priority it just shouldn't have. So I uncovered that I want to be more intentional with my work time instead of working through like a million tasks as quickly as possible each day. And then I want my non-work time, specifically the Wednesday through Friday mornings when I'm focused on my girls and homeschooling, to be just for those things. Like if they're playing, I don't want to pull up my laptop and like check in on my team. I just want to focus on them, and not having half of my brain on them and half obsessing over when I can get to my computer and get some stuff done. That's just not how I want to be. And some of you might like to dig deeper into the visioning work, but outside of guided practices from my coaches, that was enough for me. It took 20 minutes. I felt reset and refreshed, and that was good. So from there, I started going through our projects. What are we going to be doing for the rest of the year? I shared a few weeks ago in another video, the system I started using for tracking my project ideas. I'll link that below this one. But I still had some of those ideas stored in a couple other places, and I needed to like lay them all out and figure out what order they actually needed to be done in. So I started with just a list. It was 19 projects that are on my radar, jumbled up in my brain that I just listed out. And I kind of paused to ask myself again, what do we need to do to keep the momentum up that we have from the summit we just hosted? Things are great right now. How do we keep that going? And then based on that, what do my priorities need to be? And I kept those things in mind as I moved into the next phase of sorting and prioritizing these 19 projects, right? So first I broke them up into a few different groups that made sense based on what I had sitting in front of me. So for that, it ended up being like live launches and live events, evergreen improvements, and other, right? So then from there, I sorted those by priority. Like what order do I want to tackle each of these projects in each category? What can be tabled until 2026? What doesn't have any real timeline? What do I not even want to do anymore? And like to figure out what was going to be first, I looked at that list I made of priorities I need to hold on to based on what our business will need to move forward. So for example, I have not been the most strategic with my content. I just kind of throw value at everyone because it comes so naturally to me, and I have so much information to share and can talk about summits for days, but that doesn't do us any favors. So at the very top of my list is prioritizing more strategic content. This is not one of those pieces, by the way. There were also some things that just made more sense at certain times of the year. So for example, I like to do trainings once per quarter for people planning summits in the upcoming quarter. So for the training I want to do for those of you planning summits in Q1 of 2026, I knew that had to happen in September or early October. Based on some time I'll be away in September 10th is the date that that's happening, right? I just need to like logic my way through it. So it was just thinking through each thing in the order that made sense and moving the pieces around. So sticky notes were really great for that. You can just, stick things all over the place. And once I had the projects in order, then I combined the different categories. Say, okay, this one from the live events is more important than this one from Evergreen. Great, that one's first. And I just kind of combine them all. And from there, I moved it into that digital planner that I will link a video to in the description of this video. So at this point, I had updated the vision I have for the rest of the year. I had planned out the projects we have for the rest of the year. And the last planning related thing I wanted to do was map out what my new loose work schedule will look like now that school is starting and schedules are changing. So my work hours, just to give you an example, will be Mondays and Tuesdays, and then Wednesday and Thursday afternoons. So I blocked out time for things like content planning, content creation, our big marketing project that we always have going on, clients, admin, calls, things like that. I don't follow it super strictly, but it's helpful for me to have overall guidance. Like, okay, today's Monday. This is my time to really knock out some stuff for whatever big marketing project we're working on right now, right? Or I know my brain is best in the morning. That's when I should be working on content. Right? So like having that loose schedule is just really helpful for me. And it also helps me catch myself when I'm letting too much other randomness sneak in. If I don't have time to create content in the morning, or if I don't have time to work on my marketing project on Monday, I know there's a problem. And that was it. So from there, I finished all of that mid-morning the second day. So I had all the rest of that day to just start knocking out tasks, which was awesome. And since I dropped down to about 20 hours per week, there's a lot of stuff that has just accumulated, right? These projects that are important, but not important enough to do with all my other stuff. And they just keep moving from one day to the next or 1 week to the next. I got about like 5 or 6 of those things done, and I just feel like lighter not having them on my list anymore. So it was really great for that. I could have even used another day to just knock out more of that kind of thing, like a clear the decks type of situation. That felt really great. And then Sunday was my final day. I use Sunday as a Sabbath day. I usually do not do any kind of work, and I felt like I was pushing that boundary I have a little bit, but I've really been wanting to dive into some content trainings from a program I'm in, but I never give myself the time to do it. And that just feels more spacious and restful for me. So that felt like a really good thing to do on that day. So I went and grabbed a coffee, and I just enjoyed watching those trainings, taking notes, brainstorming ideas for a few hours before I headed home. And overall, everything I did at this like cute little lilac purple house that I stayed in was simple, but it was so needed. I just needed that space, and I'm back refocused, lighter, and excited for the rest of this year. So if you've never done something like this, I'd encourage you to give it a try, even if you don't have like kids or a team or clients or anything like that to kind of get a step away from. Sometimes it's just like the change in environment that can really cause you to let yourself relax and unplug and think a little bit bigger and more creatively. So I hope this video is helpful and gives you some ideas. If you have any questions or want to share something similar you've done, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. And otherwise, I'll see you in our next Summit Conversations video.